Hello everybody, Shogi Harbour here. Today I'm gonna analyze the game of TTShodan Season 2 winner Mical vs Katagami 7Dan. Katagami 7Dan played 3 games simultaneously. In the game against Mical, he played a 4-piece handicap, which means that he was without 2 big pieces and with no lances. So, let's see how the game went. In the beginning, Mical closed his bishop line immediately and then moved his rook to the 4th file, showing a 4-file rook strategy. Meantime, Katagami-sensei will reinforce the 4th file as well using both of his silver, so that Mical's attack will be met with heavy resistance. Few moves later you can see that Mical finished half mino, while Katagami-sensei also put his king on the 3rd row, on the side far away from the attack. Both sides will develop their pieces and Mical will be slowly searching for a way to activate his bishop and rook. Or will he? As we can see, the game continues and both sides are slowly pushing all of their pawns forward. Mical finished his mino castle and then finishing the high mino. Meantime, Katagami-sensei opposed all the pawns with his pawns, making sure that none of the sides is taking a vanguard pawn. Having no vanguard pawn usually means that it's hard to start an engagement, and especially because Katagami-sensei have no rooks, no bishops, it will be impossible for him to start an engagement, so all he can do is to wait for Mical to decide to attack. And as you can see, Mical still doesn't attack a few moves later, finally setting up to create a silver crown castle. Katagami-sensei will be changing his king's position to this side, making it closer to all of the generals, and finally Mical decides to exchange the pawns, this time on the 3rd file. Unusually for the handicap games you can see that both knights are beautifully developed, and now is the question, what will Mical do to continue attacking? Katagami-sensei cannot do much himself and he will be waiting for a chance to counterattack. So what does Mical decide to do? He develops his silver, but he changes the direction of his attack and he goes for the edge. Pawn takes pawn drop means that Mical is trying to create a slow advantage of a token on this side of the board, but it gives chance for Katagami-sensei to attack. In fact, he will be forced to attack because having a token there uncontested will be a problem. So he pushes 7-5 pawn. If the server would take it, then it would be trapped by pawn drop because he cannot move back. Therefore, Mical is forced to retreat, and here Katagami-sensei pushes 8-5 pawn. Here, Mical defends it with the bishop, and the reason is, if you were to take it, pawn drop to 8-6 threatens to make a token, and it is quite tricky to defend that. If you use the rook, there's a knight jump. If you use the silver, that would block the rook, and some slower continuation would happen from Katagami-sensei's side. So Mical decides to defend it with the bishop instead. Because the bishop moved up, it means that Katagami-sensei can put a pressure on it, and he uses gold to do it. Mical then tries to attack the weak edge, and Katagami-sensei once more threatens to create a token, and again pushes the bishop away. Here, Mical has the option of retreating the bishop, but what he does is to sacrifice it strongly. Gold takes, rook takes, meaning that he exchanged bishop for gold, which is not a bad exchange. He's looking directly at the opponent's camp, very close to the king, so it feels good. But here Katagami-sensei drops the bishop, rook escapes, and bishop promotes attacking the silver. Mical doesn't care much about the silver yet, because he has a faster attack, pawn drop, very well placed pawn. It needs to be defended, and after this exchange you can see that the bishop-gold exchange became bishop versus gold and knight exchange, which means Mical is a little bit better off. Now the problem still continues, the silver is under attack. Mical decides to use the gold to protect the silver. Katagami-sensei wants to keep the horse active, so he moves it to 5-9, putting a pressure on the silver crown. And Mical decides to block the horse. He could have used the knight to do it instead, having the same effect while developing the knight. His next target will be to move the rook here, and as you can see, this rook promotion will be very hard to protect against. But it would be very boring and one-sided if that happened. So as Mical is able to attack, Katagami-sensei also shows his intention to counter-attack. He pushes 2-5 pawn, attacking the head of Silver Crown. If Mical takes, which he does, pawn drop continues, Silver is forced out of the position and knight can advance. As I mentioned before, the rook is possible and it would be a good move to make, but Mical seemed to be more concerned about the safety of his king, so he dropped the knight to 4-8. And few moves continue where he will keep answering Katagami-sensei attacking move by trying to create better position for his king. And finally, he will try to relieve that pressure. This position looks kinda scary because the king is being surrounded by the pawns and by the knight. So just seeing this once more, we have the feeling of I wanna defend, right? So Mical does take one of those pawns. Here Katagami-sensei manages to exchange the knights. The gold has to escape and the horse is under attack, which gives Mical finally a little bit of breath to play the 8-6 rook. But there is a little problem in here. If you ever played vertical shogi, which is a double static rook or double swinging rook, you know how important it is to sometimes do not answer on the opponent's moves. Why is that? Why do we do that in equal games? As you can see here, during the whole sequence, Mical didn't play any attacking move. Katagami-sensei played attacking move, Mical answered. Attacking move, Mical answered. Attacking move, Mical answered. All those moves are the answers for Katagami-sensei attack. Katagami-sensei attack isn't yet so severe. There is only a horse, which is currently blocked. There is knight and a gold pawn. If he had 1 or 2 more pieces, that would be scary, but for now, it wasn't. But as we keep continuing playing those defensive moves, the situation changes, and it is becoming to look a little bit more scary. But instead of answering some of this move, we have to play an attacking move ourselves, because sometimes an attacking move is the best defense. Because we are showing an attacking intent, it means our opponent will be less eager to give away pieces, and therefore making his attack less severe, because he cannot give away more pieces. So if you guys ever play a equal match and you seem to have trouble defending, maybe it means, paradoxically, that you didn't attack enough. Different from few moves ago, where Mical could have played rook to 8-6, now Katagami-sensei will have a real threat on his castle. 4-6 pawn drop looks kinda scary, because even if the gold escapes, this knight can be taken for free and horse will become free. Also, you can notice that because Mical gave so many moves, Katagami-sensei was able to exchange the knight, which means he was able to use it in the defense. But the battle continues. We have a dragon versus a horse, and Mical still have the advantage because his castle is still intact after pawn drop to 3-7. The horse has to retreat, and Mical has chance to attack. The question is, will he attack in the proper way? Mical pushes the 4-4 pawn, threatening to make a token, but currently that square is protected. Katagami-sensei puts more pressure on Mical's camp, threatening to make a token himself. And Mical promotes the pawn to distract the horse and tries to defend the 4-7 square. This move, unfortunately, will be a move that starts a position that will be advantageous for the handicap giver. This move, this pawn drop, will be near a passing move. Once more, instead of defending, what Mical could have done is put some effort into attacking. The knight promotion would be a very difficult move to defend. It will be something that we call in Shogi a mutual attack. In the variation that we're gonna see, unfortunately, it will be a one-sided attack from Katagami-sensei's side. So, what actually happened? Why 4-7 pawn drop was such a bad move? Let's see. After 4-7 pawn drop, Katagami-sensei dropped 2-6 pawn, threatening another token creation. Mical naturally took it, and pawn drop to 2-7 is check, and it is hard to sacrifice the gold here. Yes, we could have taken, but also because the gold goes here, we would be able to make attacking here. So Mical is forced to escape. And look how before he had a silver crown and suddenly he has only 2 defensive pieces and the attack continues. Gold drop, gold takes, pawn promotion. Suddenly there is no castle and the king is forced to run away. This is very unfavorable situation for Mical. The king escapes, but the army of talking is gonna get him. Mical needs to attack as soon as possible. He tries to do it by moving the dragon to 8-1, but actually this isn't good enough. Katagami sensei drops the pawn to 8-7, blocking off the king escape. A very scary technique in the endgame, surrounding the king, cutting off his escape instead of making checks. Here Katagami sensei makes sure that Mical is actually forced to take it with the dragon, making the previous 8-1 dragon move a pass once more. The attack continues, the talkings come closer and closer. Mical needs to retake them to relieve some pressure, and he tries to escape. The only way Mical can now survive is to somehow create a safe space for the king on this side of the board. And the target for Katagami sensei would be to block this space while attacking the dragon. So let's see, how did he do that? Gold drop from the side to continue the pressure. Mical tries to create the escaping space, but the knight on 7-2 is a really useful piece. 8 for pawn drop is possible, forcing the gold out of the way and creating a nice foothold for further attack. Silver drop to 7-5 will create some pressure over the dragon, as well as make sure that Mical cannot drop a knight of his own. Pawn drop to protect the dragon, but pawn push to open the horse line, and the final blow is slowly coming in. A pawn push, but horse can take it. Knight drop, the horse will go to the side. Gold will be taken, pawn will be dropped, but horse simply escapes, and as the king goes to 9-7, we have a very crucial piece to attack. You can think here a little, what is the winning move in this position? And yes, it is of course to attack the dragon. Silver drop to 7-8. The dragon is under attack while threatening the king, and the game is over. This is the position where Mical resigned. For all the beginners watching, this is one of the reasons why we keep the king and rook apart, so that when our rook is under attack, at the same time the king is safe on the other side of the board. And this is why in this position silver drop is so painful, because if we save the dragon, the king will die. If we save the king, we're gonna lose the dragon. After the tournament, Mical qualified to Tourney to Masters by achieving 1 down rank, but he didn't participate in Season 3. We are still waiting for you, Mical, to join our tournament, to come back with even more power in Tourney to Masters. Dear viewer, if you would like to join our tournament, remember to join our Shogi Harbour Discord. The link is in the description below. And yeah, see you at the Harbour!